they'd have little people wrestling. And like these dudes would literally run around the bar and just fight each other and staple each other.
Oh my God.
So if you gave them a 20, which you would have brought a stack because I know how sick you are.
Oh, that would have been, that sounds like the time of my life.
If you gave him a 20, he would literally staple it to the dude's, either his forehead, his cheek, his back.
Everything you're telling me right now all needs to come back. Literally everything you've told me so far is what we're missing in nightlife.
I don't know about that one. I didn't say that.
Well, all right. Battle raps cause I've shaken grown men to the point that they can't even face their own friends. That's why they rhyme about jewels, not life, cause the ice on which they skating is so thin.
Welcome back to the Party with Strategy podcast. Very special guest, a man I've known for a while now. We don't see each other much anymore though, but it's always nice to run into you.
For
Friendly
sure.
face, someone that was very accepting and nice to me as a young man entering the game. So I appreciate that. Thanks
sure.
for coming by. My boy Lee Michaels. How you feeling?
Good. Glad to be here.
Nice.
Yeah.
Do you remember when we met?
I think it was at Stout.
Yeah.
I was like, dude, this kid's good. And I was like, who are you? Like, in the city, you typically know, most of the people or most of the good DJs. And
I appreciate that.
I remember you had chess pieces as your logo.
Yeah, that was before Navik actually got drunk one night and was like, bro, you got to change your logo. You got to get a real logo, bro.
Navik
Your shit looks like some college bullshit. And he's like, ever since then, always been like, I'm sorry I said that to you. And I was like, no, that's incredible.
Fuck yeah.
You helped me out a lot. Like, thank you. But no, even before that, I remember I was starting at Stout here and there a little bit, trying to get in. I fucking go do it, and then Biz would be upset about something and tell Kyle, and he'd have to tell me, and it was like the whole process of getting into somewhere. And I remember Kyle was like, yo, you got to go to Stout tonight, late night, and see Lee Michaels. Biz loves when he plays there. You got to go hear him play and listen to it and everything. And I remember I walked in and you were in the booth, and there was a little person with you in the booth as well, or like standing on a chair or something.
Okay.
I think it was your boy, right?
Yeah.
But I walk in and I see it and I'm like, wait a second, like, is this his thing? Like, is this like part of his brand or something? I was like, what's going on?
No. I don't think I remember that.
It was a long time ago, but it was definitely, I remember going in there and being like, okay, well, let me see what's going on here.
Yeah, that's a hell of a thing to walk up on when you don't necessarily know what. Yeah. Shout out to Brad, my friend Brad in Santa Monica.
Nice.
Yeah.
He was visiting and just hanging out with you, or
no,
what?
he lived here for the till he was like, I don't know, 20 something, and then he moved over to Santa Monica. He's a school teacher. He's a high school teacher.
Nice.
Super popular out there, and he loves it. So yeah, he's a good dude.
That was funny. But yeah, we met, and then I remember hanging out at Public House a lot. You were over there.
Yeah.
And I feel like we when I was coming into it, you were transitioning out of it, like nightlife sort of, right? Like you were getting more into events. I remember you telling me about events. I remember you being like, dude, events are the shit. Like, events.
Well, so I started bringing you in, I think, to that group.
Mm-hmm.
So I brought you into not Rhino. I'm sorry. I brought you into Bull and Bear.
Yeah.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
So I think from Stout, I was like, hey, any dates you have available, I'd like to have you over with us doing Bull and Bear, Public House, that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And then, I wouldn't say transition because I never really left.
Yeah.
I just always used the club as like the baseline for where I wanted to be. So they'd be like, oh, are you available on this date? I'm like, yes, but I do have a residency at this place. This is what it would cost to get me out of there for the night and put me into your, private event. So I used the clubs a lot as leverage.
Yeah.
It was like I always had something. It was just like that was, to me, was the baseline. And how can I double that by bringing speakers or whatever the hell they needed for their event, So
sick.
Yeah. So
and now you got a whole event company or what?
No, it's just me, but I have like the right people in place. Like I have a wedding coming up next year that's beyond anything I can put together. So I have a guy that handles all that. I mean, he wants, kind of an EDM music festival type wedding. And I said, well, I can play like that, but as far as all the sound and lighting, I got a guy.
Yeah.
So
tight.
yeah.
That's going to be sick.
Yeah. So depending on their budget, you know, if they want to go that route, I know what level I can get them to. And then I know when I need to call in the real professionals as far as, you know, mapping and all that. So
hell yeah. Are you from Chicago?
Yeah, I'm from Brookfield. I don't know if that's a familiar town to you, but
just the zoo.
That's it.
Yeah.
I always say Brookfield, and people are like, "Nah, I don't know." I'm like, the zoo. They're like, "Oh yeah. Field trips my whole life."
Yeah.
Yeah. So Brookfield Zoo is like I grew up steps away. So
nice.
And then I went to Eastern Illinois University, or I guess I went to Nazareth Academy High School, then to Eastern Illinois from there.
Eastern is where Jimmy John started, right?
It is. Yeah. Like for real. Yeah. Yeah.
Did you go to the OG Jimmy John's?
Yeah, it was pretty legendary.
Yeah.
So we've got a few things at Eastern that we can brag about. Just a few. So
that's sick. I'm upset that Jimmy John's has fallen off so far. Have you been there lately?
I haven't had any bad experiences, but I still go semi regularly just to check in, make sure they're up to my code. So.
Okay, good. Yeah, I feel like once they went and like sold out to corporate and shit, and like Jimmy's not really running it anymore, I feel like it's.
Have you had some bad experiences?
Taking a bit of a hit. Not like one single like, oh, this is horrible, but I personally loved that they stood so hard on like, we're not toasting our sandwiches and we're not doing shit and following trends, and they were like, our shit is so good, this is all we need, and people will come here and eat it,
right? And
now they got like all the bells and whistles, and
but they still keep it super simple, and like they're brilliant they basically have their inventory on display. So like they don't have storage, they don't have any of the things, they don't have deep fryers because of the insurance on that. So they save a ton of money just by keeping it super simple. But yeah, I mean, they've gotten a little bougie with their menu, I guess, from the standpoint of what we knew Jimmy John's to be till today. But I mean, their business model is brilliant. Like it's so simple.
Yeah.
Like chips and sandwiches, like
they crush it. I worked for a Jimmy John's for a long time.
Oh, no way.
Yeah.
Nice.
Freaky fast delivery.
Hell yeah.
That was my shit. So I want to know like a little bit more about your come up as a DJ. I want to know like, you know, what spots were you starting out at? When did you even start DJing? How'd you get into like the nightlife scene in Chicago?
Yeah.
Navigating through it, meeting all, like, what was your class of like DJs? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Who'd you come up with?
So I started right out of high school. My mom had just died, so that was kind of that was a tough time. But I knew I wanted to do something with music, but I didn't exactly know what. I knew it was like DJ related. I would go to like clubs and stuff, and I would hear DJs, and I was like, he's not good. And they're like, why do you know that? I'm like, I don't. As a professional, I have no idea why things sounded wrong to me. It was almost like in my head, I didn't know why it was wrong. Now I do, but back then,
like bad phrasing or something.
Well, I was an 18-year-old kid, and I was like, I don't like how he was transitioning.
Doesn't feel right.
Yeah. And they were like, well, what did he do wrong? I'm like, I don't know, but I'm going to figure it out, you know? So it became kind of a game. I bought a bunch of DJ stuff. I borrowed money from my dad. I like wrote up like this contract, like, I will pay you back by this date and this time. And I had a full-time job, full part-time because I was in college. But then I just unboxed it and was like, shit, here we go. I didn't really have any teachers in the beginning. So, you know, the first year or so, it was just like trying to figure it out.
Is this pre-YouTube?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah. So, I mean, and there just wasn't a lot out there.
Yeah.
And I probably should have reached out to people, but I was too proud and, you know. So anyway, so I basically played around in, you know, my basement, got comfortable enough to go out in the public with it. Then, so at the time I was at Triton Junior College. I transferred out of there to Eastern Illinois after 2 years. I showed up to Eastern, confidently went to all the top bars and clubs and just sold them on the fact that I'm a DJ from Chicago. I mean, that's all I said.
Yeah.
I wasn't lying, but kind of. So they're like, oh, you're from Chicago? I'm like, yeah. They're like, do you have a demo? I was like, I do. And then I gave them this like horrible demo.
Well, how'd you record a demo back then?
Back then, I was using vinyl. I was using CDs, but the only way I knew how to record was to a cassette tape. Okay, so I literally fucking handed them a cassette, and there's no way they listened to it. That's 0% chance. But I had something in my hand.
Yeah.
And I said, I'm a DJ from Chicago, and this is my mixtape. They definitely didn't listen to it.
Ate it up, though.
But it worked. And so they gave me a chance. And I think the best way to describe it is at the time, I didn't have DJ skills as far as blending goes. But I knew what these kids wanted. I knew the songs they wanted, from rock to hip hop to all the dance tracks. I knew what they wanted, but I didn't know how to put it together. But at that time, that's all they cared about. So the other DJs that they had at these clubs and bars, they were doing trance, and they were like keeping it real and mixing vinyl. And like everyone was kind of like, we're at Charleston, Illinois. Like, I know that you're playing the coolest, newest underground white label. You know, these guys were like playing for themselves. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, anyway, here's the real McCoy. You know, it's like just banging pop songs.
Nice.
So,
do you remember, this is a long shot, but from that time, from those first gigs at Eastern Illinois, do you remember what like the hit songs were? What were they?
Well, so my piss break was Crazy Game of Poker by OAR.
Okay.
Because it's like 9 minutes long. Yeah. So I could leave the booth, go down the stairs, and then go down more stairs, go to the bathroom. I could go to the front bar and have a conversation with whoever was up there. I could go to the back bar and carry a full conversation with them. Then I could go back to the booth, and I probably still had 2 minutes left.
Yeah, that's strong. 9 minute piss break song is good.
Yeah, so that's when I didn't realize it was called a piss break back then, but you know, definitely was instrumental every night, and it was huge. They went crazy the whole time, and if you cut it off, they'd boo you. So, because I tried, I think, once and learned. But yeah, my biggest strength out of the gate was I felt like I really knew what they wanted, because these were my peers.
Selection.
Right. So I was just like press and play all the right ways, versus the DJs that were looking at me like, fuck this guy. You know, like we're mixing and we've got all these like cool remixes and I'm like dropping 50 Cent and everyone's losing their mind. And, you know, to them, they're like, fuck. So I won over whatever club and bar that I wanted at the time. So
yeah, were you even trying to mix, or you were like,
yes,
you were trying to mix?
It was like, I was like, all right, let's try to get 2 songs that like fit, you know? So it would be like a mix and then a bunch of slam tracks, and then I would mix. So then it would get to like, wow, I just did 3 in a row. Holy fuck, this is big, you know?
You're learning on the spot.
I'm learning on the spot, but I'm DJing 3 nights a week. And like, you know, in front of your peers, you better get good quick, because like your friends are stamping their name on you, right? There's no more pressure than having your friends there being like, yeah, my friend's a DJ. Like, you better not suck, because they're gonna get on you. And I was in a fraternity, so I had like all this backing. I had all these, you know, like dudes from my house coming out, and they were like, yeah, he's in our house, he's our fucking DJ. And I was like, I don't know what I'm doing.
Did you have a DJ name back then, or was it
yes, it was horrible.
What was it?
It was DJ Lee B.
DJ Lee B.
But it just, it didn't flow. It just had that stop, and I hated it. But I just chose it because it was something.
Yeah.
So
I don't hate it. DJ Lee B.
It just didn't roll right. It didn't feel right. Like it was just there. You know?
Yeah.
It was lazy.
I kind of feel you, because I feel like the DJ names back then were like kind of spunky, or like had a rhyme.
They did.
Or like,
they
you
did.
know, what was like
DJ Speed, DJ Flipside. Like they had catchy names.
I'm even thinking like Mix and Mark, or Too Cool Tony.
Yeah, there was always like a catchphrase with their name.
Yeah.
I didn't want to go that route, but I also didn't know what alternate way I wanted to go with it.
You didn't have any nicknames or anything?
No, not really. Lee's a nickname. Lee's not my real name.
Oh, really?
We'll leave it there.
Okay.
So,
are you one of those guys where nobody knows your government name?
I mean, I've had friends, like close friends, call me and say, what is your name? And I'm like, why? They're like, because I have a bet with someone. And I'm like, what side are you on? And they're like, is your name Lee Michaels? Yes or no? And I said, no. And they're like, what? Like, Like, these are close friends that are like ready to fight people over the fact that, yeah, he's my friend. They're like, Lee Michaels is not his name. And they're like, yes, it is. And I mean, my close friend is losing bets because they think my name is Lee Michaels.
That's crazy. Is that because you hate your real name?
No, my name's Leonard. I mean, it's like,
That's a sick name.
I mean, as a professional, but as like a cool, like up and coming wannabe DJ.
Yeah. I feel that.
That's not the direction I want.
So it's funny to me because Dolo is that way too.
But I don't hide it.
Yeah.
But I don't celebrate it unless it's like, like my friends will yell Leonard across the club or across the room just to get a reaction,
Yeah.
Like they want to prove they know me. Mm-hmm. It's like when people would go see Avicii, they're like, yeah, I'm with Tim.
Yeah.
Okay.
Then everyone's like, who the fuck is Tim?
Right. Right. And I'm not saying I'm at all like that, but so the Lee B thing was just it was just for the time. I knew it wasn't going to stick. I did want to be on the radio, so I knew also that having a full name is more geared towards radio.
Okay.
But then I realized how much you make when you start off in radio, and I was like,
yeah, who told you that?
I'm not doing this. I'm not getting into radio.
How'd you get that insight?
I did an internship at B96, and I kind of knew that in order to start in radio, you gotta go to a small town, refine yourself, get the $20K a year or whatever they were paying at the time, and it's a great path. And for people that want to go that path, fine. But I was like, I'm in Chicago. I don't want to leave here for smaller town USA. So
yeah.
So at that point, I was like, all right, well, I better hone my mixing skills and see where this will take me. But I also didn't think it would be a career. It was like, to me, it was always going to be on the side. But then...
Yeah, what were you going to school for? What were you planning on doing?
Well, it was radio, TV, and film. So It was kind of like anything. I didn't know, it was like, I'm just going to go in with general media studies, and then I knew I'd find my way. So I graduated from Eastern Illinois, started DJing right out of college. I feel like my skills had progressed a lot in the 3 years I was at Eastern. So if you do the math, that's 5 years of college, and I recommend it to anyone young. Take your time. So I did 2 at Triton, 3 at Eastern, graduated, and then I had a job the day after graduation to help DJ with a promo company. And they were B96 like mix masters at the time that I had met during my internship.
Who was it?
It was DJ Smurf, who goes by Dan Morell, or that's where I think he got like a cease and desist on that. DJ Speed, and then Flipside was part of that crew.
Nice.
Speed and Dan were like the main 2 guys, and then they had a lot of like other people. But they were pretty much taking dead nightclubs, coming in there saying, we'll pack your place, just give us the door. So then someone like me, fresh out of college, they're like, hey, we need a lot from you. We need you to help promote. We need you to help open up as a DJ. Like, we'll give you the first hour or 30 minutes and just kind of help us with whatever we need to get the ball rolling with this company. So out of college, I was just getting little cash envelopes to help these guys every week. And then we just kind of kept growing with it. So
nice.
Yeah. So yeah, that was really cool of them. Like, I remember, I think Dan Morell called me on graduation day. He's like, hey dude, what are you doing? And I was like, graduating. He's like, what? I'm like, yeah, I'm walking. Like, he's like, can you call me tomorrow? I need you, like, when you get back in town, let's meet up. And he's like, when you coming back? And I was like, I think Monday. He's like, all right, Busta Rhymes is performing at Cubby Bear. Can you be there at like 7:00? I was like, yeah. So I met him at like the Cubby Bear at 7:00 on a Monday for a Busta Rhymes concert. We were backstage, and they're like, yes, we want to offer you a job. And I was like, all right, let's do this. So that was kind of day one out of college. So
tight.
Yeah.
That's awesome. And do you remember the name of the promo company or the
Yeah, they called, it was called Mixmaster Throwdown. So it was based on, like, I think that was the name of like the mix CDs that they used to pump out. So nobody had trademarked it. So it was just kind of a floating name. And so they were like, well, let's grab that name. And I think Dan Morell did all the paperwork and grabbed it because it was just sitting there. He grabbed the website and said, let's call our company Mixmaster Throwdown. So they would promote, or we would promote all over the city, suburbs. They just basically take clubs that were struggling and turn them around. And it like really worked. We
need that now.
Yeah, especially
where are they at now?
I know.
Where's the new generation of Mixmaster Throwdown?
I know, like a promo company that has DJs, and I mean they did everything. They had dancers, and they had even some of their own bartenders that would like kind of go to each event that they did. It kind of created like a small group. Like everywhere we went, we had like 50 of the same faces at least to start the night.
Yeah.
And some nights it was just insane. So
it kind of feels to me, if I think about like a promo group right now, it feels like it's been a withered down version of that with every new one that comes along. Like if they started with everything where they could provide you an entire party for an entire night, we have DJs and bartenders and people that are coming and this and that and promoters and hosts and blah, blah, blah. Then just like at now where we're at is just one group of people that will bring people to your spot for an hour and then go to another spot for an hour. Like they don't have anybody but just patrons to give free alcohol to.
Yeah, it was it turned into like a bar hopping or like a bar crawl type situation.
Yeah.
But yeah, back then it was cool because I didn't understand. I was like, how are you guys, like, how do you make money? And they're like, well, not every club is just killing it right now. So they would just, we had a Tuesday spot, we had a Wednesday spot, Thursday, Friday. So I've got 5 residencies a week. Now my shifts are like 30 minutes at the beginning and then maybe 30 minutes at the end. But I mean, that's how you learn, right? Yeah. You learn with like a shit crowd. Like the best way to get good is like to have an awful crowd. You know what I mean? Like anyone can rock out for a full house, but I was opening, so it was like 4 people in there and I was like, fuck, they're gonna hear every mistake. I better not have any. So those guys gave me a chance, and I was just doing everything. I was just down for whatever at that point. I was just happy to not be like working in an office, because out of college you're like, shit, now I gotta like get serious about stuff.
That's sick.
And these guys were like, no you don't, and I was like, perfect. So it was
Keep
a good
the dream alive.
Yeah, it was a good transition out. So
I like that.
Yeah.
Also, my other thought on like the promo thing is right now, promo companies want to seek out the hottest club. Like they want to attach themselves to the most poppin' spot and say, we promote here. Mm-hmm. When those guys were like, no, fuck that.
Yeah.
Let me find the place that's doing the worst so I can show them what we bring to the table and like probably get the best check possible.
Right. They're like, your venue is sick. Like let's sit down and go over numbers.
Yeah.
Because they, they're going to have to find out what do you normally ring. And then we're going to prove that we can double, triple, or whatever. Mm-hmm. Yeah. I mean, it was a brilliant idea. And
that's what we're missing. That is definitely a component that I think we're missing in nightlife is promoters that focus on building one night at one place.
Right. Yeah.
And not just like hopping around and bringing the most amount of girls because you can sell the fact that you're at the hot spot to these young girls that will just come and drink for free.
And they didn't do the after hour stuff. Like they didn't do the, all right, so, from 12 to 3, we're here. And then from here we go to this. It was just one place. That's our night. We're going to be there. And then, they had a great team of just like keeping up the flyers, having guests, having gimmicks. They brought out a lot of artists too, because they knew record label people. So, it would be nothing for like one of the Backstreet Boys to show up, and that would kind of help the night.
Yeah, that's tight.
Yeah, so they did a lot of just kind of marketing from the ground up, and we had a full team of people, and not everyone was even getting paid, but they just wanted to be around it because it was cool.
So at that time, you're doing these things and you're learning and you're aspiring. Can you remember if there was a particular spot or like neighborhood in the city that you were like, oh damn, I want to play there? Was there like a desirable, what was the goal at that point?
I mean, when I first so I was DJing at Eastern, but like on Christmas breaks and stuff, I would come home and I would go to like where I found out the good clubs were, and I would go and listen.
Where was that?
It was where Joe's on Weed Street is.
Okay.
That was like a really
Prism. Crowbar was there. Yeah.
So, but that whole like square was like bar club, bar club, bar club. And it was like a district where you could hop around. I think one was called Biology.
What was the name of the neighborhood? That's like, now it's New City, right?
We always just referred to it as like North Avenue, near
Ave.
Weed Street.
Yeah.
But it didn't have, the gimmicky names weren't such a thing back then. So it was just like, oh yeah, let's go to the Weed Street area by North Avenue. Like we didn't have any like
that's so funny
catchphrases. Like you said, New City. Like so that was just like a place where I would go, oh, there's a place called Zentra there. There was just a lot of like, and most of it was just like dance music. Like it wasn't super what I loved, but it was something. And I was.
What did you love?
Well, I liked hip hop, but at that time it wasn't super accepted in the clubs. So, but at Eastern Illinois, I got away with a lot because it was just like bar. It was like a club, but you played like bar music. Yeah. So, but it was kind of like, are you a hip hop DJ or are you a dance DJ? Are you both? Can you do both? So with those guys, once I graduated and started working with them, I was just like the opener. So I would just do like mainstream dance tracks. Mm-hmm. So I would open for them. Then they got to do all the cool hip hop and stuff. But then I remember going to Speed and being like, can I open with hip hop tonight? And he's like, you think are you good to do that? I'm like, yeah. I got about 35 minutes and I think I can do it. Give me 35 minutes and I'll cleanly get through that. And then I did. And that was like a huge mountain to climb for me because it was a very clean, well blended 35-minute opening hip hop set and still not touching any of their hits, because I was an opener. So yeah, I knew not to like come out swinging. So
that's tight. Yeah. That's funny. The guy that was sitting on this couch before you is a young kid and his like, we're talking about like the opening duties and his like, it's just like so knee jerk for him. He's like, yeah, but like, you're just mad because I'm crushing it. Like they don't, like he didn't really understand like what the duty of an opening DJ is. And that's like a huge conversation these days. I feel like on DJ Twitter is like, if you can't follow me, you shouldn't be a headliner, like for some reason that mentality didn't get passed down right. Someone fucked up along the way.
No, I loved it. I loved opening because there was so much good stuff. Like it was like I would listen to their sets and I'm like, wow, they're missing the boat on this, and this. Like Cameron, Hey Ma or something. Yeah. Like you can't play that in the middle of the night. But man, I mean, you start the club that way, I mean, it's a hit, but you're not using it at midnight. So so anything they didn't touch, I'd like make notes, like I was like, Miss Jackson. Nice. So I would like just stay in the 90 to 100 beat per minute range and just open the club with like light R&B kind of feel good hits. They loved it because they're like, that's nothing we're gonna fuck with, and I loved it because I loved that kind of music. So so I started just doing all the dance stuff in the beginning, and I was like, hey, can I not do this? I don't like these songs that I'm playing to open the night. So then once they allowed me to start doing some hip hop and R&B is when I started progressing as far as where I wanted to be. So
tight.
That was back in the day.
Were you able to get into any of the spots, the Joe's on Weed Street, anything over there? Like, did you make your way into those clubs, or what was your...
So when I was with this, so I'm sorry, I kind of went back a little far, and then let me get us caught up to speed. So at this point, we're doing Dakotas in Schaumburg as a promotion company. We're doing White Star, which was like the club.
White Star, I definitely have heard the name. Yeah. Where was that?
It's across from Y Bar. Okay. That vacant spot that's been there for like probably 20 years vacant. Yeah. Like you probably have never seen it open.
I don't think so, no.
Yeah. So that was super popular. I think it was owned by Magnum Steakhouse. Have you heard of Magnum Steakhouse?
No.
It was like, I think pre-Gibson's, but it was a big steakhouse in the city, and then White Star was like their club.
Nice.
And I feel like they did that with a few venues where they had like steakhouse and then but turned into nightclub in the back. So so that era I was doing White Star, and that was like one of our huge Friday night promotions. They were packed on Saturdays. Fridays were good, but they weren't Saturday. So they brought us in saying, it wasn't like we're dead. It was just like, hey, we're at half capacity. Can you fill it? So the White Star thing was big for us because it was a very popular spot. It just wasn't Saturday nights.
Yeah.
So so that was a good city spot, and then we were just doing a bunch of suburban places. Then they started doing college clubs, taking it on the road, like, because during the week they're like, the city's not good on Mondays or Tuesdays, but if we can go down to, you know, Eastern Illinois or Western or Northern Illinois, ISU, they'd throw parties Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday at colleges. So we would go on a little road trip, Monday here, Tuesday here, Wednesday here, maybe off Thursday, back to the city, you know, to do our promotion in the city. And it just became like...
They were raking it in. I mean, Speed's got to be spending money that he was making off White Star still.
I mean, yeah, back then it was and it was all cash too. You know, it was all cash. Everyone had cash. It was great. So
that's amazing.
So yeah, they did. It was like the college club tour and Mixmaster Throwdown were like the combination. And so, you know, college club tour was during the week, and then Mixmaster Throwdown was the weekend. And then some nights we had two things going on. So Dakota's Tuesdays was insane. It's out in Schaumburg, but they did like $3 you call it's. So that was like an easy sell. And then it was like with all these like big DJs, because it was a Tuesday and none of us had anything else going on.
Yeah.
So it was easy to get good DJs. So we did that. And yeah, so Tuesday night, half our crew would be at Dakota's and like the other half would be at like Western Illinois throwing a party. So sometimes we were doubling up with like half the crew and splitting people up. And so yeah, that was like my beginning. And
that's so tight. I'm jealous. You got to live like that tour, a small piece of it at least, like, you know, driving around with your boys, playing shows at night,
right?
Getting up, hungover, eating a fucking breakfast sandwich from the gas station.
It was like
shooting the shit.
It was super like dirty and grimy.
Yeah.
Like we had hotels, but they were like garbage. But we were on tour.
Yeah,
you know,
I need that.
Yeah,
I want that.
So we were staying at the finest motels, let me tell you.
That's so tight.
But I mean, we'd all come out of it with good money. The door would always be really good, and I was like, this is cool. Like free hotel, free travel, couple $100 a guy, and everyone's happy. So my dad's like, what are you doing? What the fuck are you doing? So yeah, so that's kind of how it all started. But then I grew out of that, and I think I got good enough to leave them. You know, it wasn't that I wanted to leave them, it was just time.
Yeah.
I felt like my skills were at a certain level where I could start marketing myself outside of that group, because I was always known as part of that crew. Mm-hmm. I was like, but you know, I can do this on my own. So I think my first like step out of that comfort zone was Bar Chicago. And it was kind of a cheesy, gimmicky bar that every major city had. But Thursdays, they were open to having actual DJs who mixed. Fridays and Saturdays, they just wanted push play guys that played like from their catalog. So like I would do stuff on Thursdays, and the Friday guy would come in and be like, how the hell can you do this? I'm like, well, they brought me in to have an alternative style night. It's, well, not alternative style, but just, you know, just a different Bar Chicago. They wanted to say like Thursdays is different. Like we're not just playing Sweet Caroline or whatever they played on Fridays and Saturdays. And then they'd have Don Vito from Jackass come out, or they'd have Little People Wrestling. And like these dudes would literally run around the bar and just fight each other and staple each other. They had staple guns where they would staple like money to each other's faces.
Oh my God.
So if you gave him a 20, which you would have brought a stack, because I know how sick you are.
Oh, that sounds like the time of my life.
If you gave him a 20, he would literally staple it to the dude's, either his forehead, his cheek, his back. So these guys were running around the bar just staple gunning each other.
Everything you're telling me right now all needs to come back. Literally everything you've told me so far is what we're missing in nightlife.
I don't know about that one. I didn't say that. But yeah, so they had funny gimmicks. So, and I was like, damn, like not only are they opening this place up for me to play how I want to play, but they're bringing in all these MTV people, like the Jackass people, the Viva La Bam cast.
Where was Bar Chicago?
It was Division Street. So where Hopsmith is located. Mm-hmm. I don't know what it's called now. I think it was like called Coconuts or something. You go
well,
upstairs.
Hopsmith is still there. That's Hopsmith.
Well,
then, I think.
the Hopsmith area.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
I'm plugging them because to me that's like probably the most poppin' bar over there that's not a dive.
Yep.
So it's kind of that Hopsmith style. You go up a flight of stairs, you get to the top, and it's just mayhem. I mean, you walk in and people are stapling each other, or little people are stapling each other. Don Vito's on the bar, like
one eye
pouring pitchers of beer. Yeah. Yeah, he was something. Yeah, they were still doing like wet t-shirt contests back then.
And was anything else over there popping? Because Butch McGuire's had to be there, Mother's had to be there.
Yeah,
Those
but
are old
that's
spots.
where you go to start.
Right.
So you'd have a couple drinks there.
Was
and then-
McFadden's there?
I think so.
Okay.
I feel like all those like kind of Irish pubs were like where people would start, and then they'd eventually get to our stairway.
Yeah, you couldn't just walk into Little People Staple Party dead sober.
No.
You had to have a couple JMOs in
Right,
from
right.
Butch's.
Yeah, so that whole street, I mean, it's still good to this day, or busy to this day, but back then that was like the kind of, I wouldn't even say after hours, but after 10 o'clock spot. But you'd go to the other bars, early, and so make your way. But yeah, this podcast is not long enough for how long I've been doing this. I think
We got time, baby.
I think I'm 26 years in, so.
This excites me. This gets me excited. This is like sparking ideas for me. Like it sounds like everything I wish nightlife was just like a good time, crazy shit happening.
Yeah.
People that give a fuck about the party because their job is to make this night for this place become a thing.
Right.
That we don't have a lot of that anymore. Like it's
changed a lot. I mean, I started in 98. It's kind of gross, but that's when I started. So when did you start? What year?
I started DJing. I was 19. It had to be 2009 probably.
Okay. And then did you just kind of show up in the city and did you have a similar start? Like
no.
Clearly you weren't just great at mixing.
Yeah, I was I started in like the hip hop world, like Chicago hip hop, underground hip hop kind of thing, doing shows with this rapper that I was making beats for, and then he convinced me to DJ because he wanted to DJ while he was on stage. So I started there, and I like fell in love with DJing way more than producing.
Right.
I just felt like I was so much better at it.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh, I'm not that great at making beats. Like I got a couple cool beats, but I don't feel like, oh, wait till they hear me, wait till I come, you know what I mean? But then I started DJing, I'm like, oh, this I can fucking do.
Yeah.
Reading people, playing with people a little bit, playing with music, manipulating it, that was way more my style. And I just leaned fully into that. And Architect really helped me out because he was connected through that world as well. Like the dude I started DJing for, Architect had stopped DJing for him to go pursue nightclubs and making money and doing all that.
Yeah.
So he helped me out a lot.
Cool. Yeah, we definitely took two different paths, but yeah. The promotions company grabbing me out of college was like crazy. I was just like, really? They're like, yeah, we'll pay you like, whatever cash it was per week, and then we'll earn it out as we go. We're new. So they were fair, like if I did like 2 sets instead of 1, they'd throw me an extra 50. I mean, it wasn't big money, but I mean, I think I was making like $400 a week cash.
It's fucking sick.
In the early 2000s. And
to party and DJ and have fun.
I had like a shoebox under my bed that I would just throw it in, like kind of forget about it. And then my dad, I think he finally like came at me and was like, what the hell are you doing? He's a banker, and he thought you get your degree and then you work 9 to 5 and hate your life, moving on. And I was happy, and I was out just doing cool shit. And I've never been a drinker, so like that transition for me was also really good because all the parties that we were doing were far away, and I would never drink, but I was still fun and active and like did my part. But my dad was like, well, what are you doing? You're coming home at like 3 a.m. I'm like, yeah, but I'm not drinking. I'm just like getting Taco Bell, and like that's it. And so I think at one point I just pulled the shoebox out from under my bed, and I was like, this is why the fuck I'm doing it. And my dad's like, what the fuck, dude? You know, like, so that was kind of a moment for me to just kind of flex back and just be like, I know you want me to have a 9-to-5 job, but like, look at this treasure chest in this Nike box. And he's like, all right, so you're good? Everything's good? I'm like, yeah, it's so just funny. Not the career path that you probably, would have chose, but I'm good.
He probably didn't even know it existed, right? Like, no. He probably didn't even think you could make money.
I don't think he still understands what the hell I do. Yeah. And I don't care to explain it, He's like, so you just DJ and they give you money? I'm like, well, it's a little more than that, but sure. I just keep it simple for him, so.
Nice.
But
so you're at Bar Chicago every Thursday? Did you secure the residency?
Nice. But I was getting $400 on a Thursday. So now let's just say I'm making $400 a week from the promotions company, and now I have $400 every Thursday. Now I'm at $800 a week, and I really don't have bills, and I'm just this like fresh out of college kid that's just doubled his money by adding one night. And we didn't have a promotion with that other company, so I wasn't stepping on toes. Then as I kept going with it, I would go to the promotion company and be like, yeah, I'm going to need Tuesday off. They're like, for what? And I'm like, well, I'm growing. So then that's kind of how I found my way out. It wasn't any falling out. I still like talk to those guys to this day, and we still have our old stories. And I picked up an extra night, and then I was one more night away from them. And then next thing I knew, I was completely away from them. And he's like, you coming back? And I was like, I don't think so, but thank you. So that was a couple of years, and it was a good kind of transition out. And, I still talk to Speed Flipside. Dan called me the other day, Smurf. So yeah, it was perfect. It was kind of like a cool transition for me to find my way. So
that's sick. Obviously, Speed Flipside and Smurf were influential to you watching those guys DJ and shit. When you were getting out of it and doing your own thing and going out and hearing other DJs and stuff, who else did you hear that was like, oh damn, he's dope?
Well, I mean, I took a lot from everyone, like the good, the bad. Mm-hmm. Like I never like when I hear bad DJs, I don't make fun or I don't like pick on them, because I'm always like, well, dude, I sucked. Like I sounded like him before, but I also get a lot from a bad DJ. I've heard really shitty DJs play songs that like went off that I would have never touched. So I always get something, whether they're good, bad, or otherwise. But, Flipside and Speed were hip hop guys. I loved them. And along the way, it was cool. I loved seeing good DJs. It was almost like heartbreaking to go to a big club and see a guy that like was terrible or like shouldn't have been there. Cause I was there to get something out of it. And for me, I was like, it's a wasted night. Or like, where can we go outside of here that like I'm going to learn something at? Like for me, it was like, I just wanted to learn. Mm-hmm. So, then AM came along and like that whole thing. But
what was that? That was like 2002, 2003.
Man, no. That was like 07, 08.
7, 8. Okay.
Maybe later. But yeah, it was more around that time. Cause what he was doing was like, that wouldn't have been accepted in like 03. 03 was still dance music, 30 minutes of dance, 30 minutes of hip hop, 30 minutes of dance. And then once you get to hip hop, you just kind of stay, at the end of the night. But that's all it was. We were basically like just kind of flipping the room that way. Then AM came along and like said, I have no rules. I'm going to get weird. And then we were all like, what the fuck? Like, I was like, what do we do now? Because clearly none of us were going to be able to pull that off. Yeah. But the nightlife called for it and they wanted it. So you had to find a way. So
were you on Serato at that point?
No, I was still using just CDs, but it was at that weird point where it was like, we were all trying to figure out if we were ready to transition our library over to Serato. So I was like, I had Serato, I was like preparing it, but I wasn't ready to go live with it at that point. I remember the first night I went on Serato, I told the GM at the club, I was like, Serato? He's like, yeah. I go, well, I'm going to try it tonight. So I have my backup CD books in case. Hopefully we don't have to go that route, but just letting you know if it gets weird, it's my first night on Serato.
Yeah.
So, but it went fine.
Nice.
But yeah, so then the AM thing came along And that's when the city was like, do that. And we're all like, well, we can't fucking do that.
Where was AM playing in Chicago?
Yeah, he was
often?
doing.
Where was he at?
What was it called?
Reserve, I know.
Yeah, that was his. I
that?
think it was like his residency.
Okay.
So, and if it wasn't him, it was his team. So DJ Vice, and
right?
That whole crew. It was like Stone Rock, and I'm trying to think of
Fashion.
Yeah, I mean they had an awesome crew.
Steve Aoki was part of that.
Yeah.
I don't know if he did
sure.
like open format shit, but I know he was part of that.
He was,
whole
yeah,
thing.
he was. They were friends, I know, and he was
Spider.
Right, yeah. So that was like a different level of. All right, now I got to start like really getting to work, because you get to a certain point, you think you're where you want to be, and then you hear guys like that, and you're like, shit, like I got to get back to the drawing board and figure this out.
Yeah.
So and then Crooklyn Clan came out, the website, so we were all like, it seemed like we were doing more than we were doing. You know, they were putting together 3 or 4 songs for us. Mm-hmm. We'd download it, we'd mix it well, and then we'd get credit for 4 crazy blends that we didn't do.
Yeah, that's funny. I didn't think about that actually, because I feel like we're in that exact moment right now too, because you have not so many DJs that are doing the DJ AM thing. It's like, you know, doing really cool stuff behind the turntables or CDJs or whatever isn't really prominent. It's not like a thing.
Yeah.
But you have these edits that do it all for you.
Right.
And I didn't really think that. I didn't think about the fact that Crooklyn Clan came out right after the AM shit, and they made the edits.
Crooklyn
that
Clan,
did it all
I
for
feel
you.
like, was developed basically saying none of us can do that, not even AM's closest DJ friends. So Crooklyn was like, let's get these guys some cheat codes to sounding like AM as a local guy.
And people didn't hate on that. Did people hate on that, or were they like, oh, this is dope?
Some, like Flipside would have never touched
really
any of those edits.
That's awesome.
But he's like a purist, and and good for him.
Yeah.
But in the meantime, I was like, please don't get into those, because you're gonna take my shit. So when Flipside's like, yeah, I don't do those, I'm like, thank you.
Yeah.
I'll do them all. Like, you know, I'm not trying to get Flipside cheat codes. He's fine.
Yeah.
So yeah, the Crooklyn thing happened, and then I started making my own, because like a lot of the Crooklyn stuff was garbage. Like, you know, you'd listen to a sample, it'd be like 99 cents. I'm like, hell yeah. Then you download it and it's like wrong. And you're like, this sucks. So then I would edit the shit out of those for myself, and then I would take their good edits and make them my way, or, you know, add little things. And so I got into editing like crazy.
What program were you using?
Vegas. It was like called Sony Vegas.
Nice.
And I was doing cheer mixes for like the dance teams. I was doing my own edits for clubs. So all my work was like all day long just making edits, and then I'd present them at the club, and if they were good, they go to the good, you know, folder, and if they were bad, you delete it. Or if they didn't go over the way I hoped they would, you know, or I put them in like a folder for a rainy day in case. So, but yeah, so then there's that whole era of like playing rock and hip hop, and they're like, yeah, just do what AM does. I'm like, I'll buckle up.
Yeah.
I'll do my best.
That's hilarious.
But then I released a mashup CD, and that took off.
Wait, I want to ask you about that. I'm going to pee real quick. Do you have to pee or anything?
I'm good.
Okay. Very exciting news. Brand new sponsor for the show. Shouts to Long Drink. They see the vision. If you guys like what's going on here, you got to go buy some Long Drink. Thank you for watching. We'll be right back. Check this out. All right, party people, you know how it is. Late nights, great music, and that perfect vibe. And what's a better way to elevate the night than with a refreshing drink in your hand? I'm talking about the Finnish Long Drink. If you haven't heard of it yet, the Long Drink is not just any drink. It's a legendary Finnish favorite that's been around since the 1952 Summer Games. It's a deliciously refreshing blend of premium liquor, natural grapefruit flavor, and just the right amount of carbonation. It's smooth, crisp, and perfect for any occasion, whether you're chilling with friends, getting the weekend started, or just winding down after a set. And the best part? It's super convenient. No need to be a mixologist. Just crack the can, and you've got a perfectly mixed, ready-to-drink cocktail. Whether you're into the classic, zero, or strong, there's a Long Drink for everyone. So next time you're tuning into the show or spinning your own beats, grab a Long Drink and take your night to the next level, because good vibes deserve great drinks. Cheers to the perfect mix, music and Long Drink. Let's go, champ. Let's get back to the show. Thank you guys for watching. Shouts to Long Drink. Make sure you go grab one. Peace. All right, so your mashup CD.
Yes.
Tell me about this. You make all these mashups in
Was
Vegas.
it a CD? I don't know if it was if I just created a download. No, it was a CD. It was a fucking CD.
It had to be a CD. You had to have like the CD multiplier tower. You were in the crib like burning them up.
No. I had like 5, but it wasn't enough because I just felt like it was going to blow up because I put so much hard work into it. And I had Bobby D doing them for me.
Nice.
Bobby D, obviously he's like the Jock Jams DJ. I don't know if you know that.
Jock Jams?
You know Jock Jams, the opening for it? Like that everyone knows. It's like Michael Buffer being like, let's get ready to rumble.
Yeah.
Dun, 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 dun. That was Bobby D.
Really?
So he started that. Like I don't know if he ever got what he deserved.
Damn.
But he was a big DJ in Chicago, and outside of DJing, he printed CDs for people. He did labels. If you wanted color, if you wanted like a backside, like lyrics and shit, whatever you wanted to put on there. So he had a whole operation out of his home or his studio that he called Energetic Sounds. So I hit up Bobby and I was like, yo, I just need like these mass produced. And he's like, how many? I think I started with like 500. And I would just hand them out to everyone. And like, it was the cost, but at that time I was like, fuck it.
Were you going for like patrons to hear it and be like, this is awesome? Or were you trying to get it in the DJ community of like people playing your shit?
I didn't care. It was just like, whatever, just get them out there. I didn't want $1 for them. I like had enough money where I was just like, I just need these out and about. I brought them to Greece with me, and they like, dude, I got emails from Greece and like Scotland and shit. Like, I have your CD. Like, where are you? And I was like, when the fuck did you get this thing?
That's awesome.
They're like, I go, have you ever been to Greece? And they're like, yes. I'm like, oh, I left a lot out there. Like, I dumped a shitload in Greece. Any vacation I went on,
throwing them like frisbees on the beach,
just handing them out to people, just seeing. Like, it was kind of like, let's see where the fuck this goes. I had no idea, but I knew it was a good mix, and I was really proud of it. So I would just hand them out on vacations and hand them out to club patrons or girls or dudes or whoever that I thought would like it. And and then my favorite thing, everyone would apologize, but like, hey man, I have a bunch of your mixes, or I have, your Jukebox Hero mix, but I didn't pay for it. I burned it for my friend. I'm like, thanks. He's like, oh no, I'm apologizing. I'm like, oh no, like my goal was to flood the world with these things. I don't care if you duplicated 1,000 of them, thanks. So, but I over the years it's been like, hey, I'm sorry, I burned one of your CDs. I was like, oh, I wasn't selling them, like just get them out.
That's awesome.
That was a huge mix for me. To this day I get a lot of people like, that Jukebox Hero, man, you got to do a follow-up. I was like, dude, that's like 20 years old, but that was a something I was super proud of, but I was also really nervous because I didn't know how it would be, how it would be received. You walk away from, I'm sure you've done some stuff where you've woke up the next day and listened to it again. You're like, nah. But you've also woke up the next day and been like, yes, it's still as good as I remember it from, last night or 2 days ago. When you leave a project and sometimes you just need to kind of hit the reset button. And I've come back to projects where I spent hours on and I'm like, this is trash. I've also come back and been like, wow, okay, I did that. So yeah, that mix kind of helped me grow I can do anything as far as music goes. And then that was like jumping from hip hop into a world of I'll do whatever.
Open format.
Yeah, that was a new word. Like we didn't have that, Yeah. So, but yeah, then open format happened. And then that was an easy segue into weddings and corporate events and all the other shit I do. So
what was like the next milestone residency you got after Bar Chicago?
There was a bunch that led to what I would say Rhino. That was like a big one for me. And then when they opened, what was the follow-up to Rhino?
Manor.
So I was like at Rhino on like Fridays and Manor on Saturday, or the reverse. So that was like the next big thing for me, was locking down Rhino and Manor. And in the early days, they were the two probably most popular kind of spots around there. And I had a residency at each one. So that was like awesome. Like that was crazy, you know? I did Blue in Lincoln Park for a while, but that was like a midnight to 4 a.m. club.
Was that on Lincoln?
Yeah.
Like,
it's still a club, I think, to this day.
across from where Max Bar was?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Was that Blue across the street, if I'm remembering it correctly?
Maybe it is Max Bar.
It could be Max Bar
Do
itself.
they have a big back room? Mm-hmm. Okay, so
okay.
that was another segue to get me to like Rhino. But I mean, I was doing a lot of shit. I was doing like 5 days a week, and like Blue was midnight to 4 on Friday and midnight to 5 on Saturday. They basically would just open that back room and like let everyone just kind of flow in. So so I learned a lot doing the late night sets. And then once I got to Rhino, I got back to the early sets again. And Rhino and Manor were just like, they were big at the time. And then I kind of grew from there as well. So it was, I can't even remember all the years and stuff. It's like kind of mind boggling, but.
Yeah.
But then I went on to Bon V. I don't know if you heard of that.
Bon V's definitely a familiar name. Where was that?
That was, I think it became the Real World House, but it was in the West Loop before the West Loop was good.
Right.
There was Market on one side of Randolph, and Bon V was on the other side of Randolph. Outside of that, I don't think you wanted to be anywhere on Randolph. So it was like they were what I would say jump started like kind of the West Loop having cool spots.
The Mid getting over there.
Well, Lake Street was always good. So that's, I guess, Lake Street, I guess, always had a thing going on. But as far as Randolph goes, Bon V and Market kind of kicked that off. And so I found my way into Bon V, which was like, it was like Casey Urlacher's like thing. Obviously through his brother, he kind of, you know, was an investor and got everything going with that. So then I left Rhino to do Bon V, and they brought me on as a resident, and then I was booking DJs and just kind of scheduling. And then they'd have like the Aoki's come out every once in a while on a Saturday. But I had that Saturday residency, and then I think I was there like Thursdays. And then I would book other DJs for Fridays because I was doing something, I don't know what at the time. But so, yeah, those are the old days.
That's so tight. What do you like when you go out now, or when you DJ out now in the nightlife scene? How does it feel now to you?
I mean, it's a different world, you know, like just post-COVID, it's like crazy how different it is. But I mean, I still do like really cool, like high energy places. And I do like London House, which is chill. It's just good background music. No one's dancing and losing their mind at London House. But it's fun to play those kind of sets at those venues. Like, I know you like to play down-tempo stuff.
Sip on a little cocktail, hang out. I mean, you don't drink, but the vibe of not taking shots, but just hanging, sipping, playing cool shit.
Yeah, there's like people on dates, or people like single people just like trying to like start the night, or they just got out of dinner. You know, it's like rooftop hotel vibes. Like, it's cool, you know, but it never really kicks into high gear. Mm-hmm. And if I meet people that want that, I just send them out. I'm like, you're not going to get, like, if you want to like get crazy, you know, go across the river and you'll find your way. Yeah. So, but obviously the John Boys of the world are still like incredible.
You just played over there not long ago, right?
Yeah.
How much fucking fun is that place?
Yeah. It's, when Dante hit me up about it in the beginning, I didn't blow it off. I just didn't get it. And I had so much on my plate at the time that I just kind of put it like in the back of my mind, like as, oh yeah, Dante's got some cool stuff going on, but I was busy with other things. But I knew it existed, but I didn't know how cool or fun it would be. Also, I was super intimidated by the fact that I'd have to do like a 3 or 4 hour, in my mind, straight disco set. Yeah. Which we now know isn't the case. It's disco based, but you know, you can go out of bounds a little bit and, you know, hit the just girl hits, like pop hits and stuff. So I wish I would have jumped in sooner, but at the time it didn't work for my schedule, and I also didn't quite get it. Then, you know, social media, I'm like, damn, that place looks cool. Like, and then, you know, you start doing your research, and I'm like, hey man, I think I'm down. You know, I see what you're doing. I like it, you know, from afar.
Yeah.
And I said, can we just jump on a call so I have a better understanding of what you're doing? And yeah, it's addicting to be there. Like, I can't wait for the next one, you know?
Yeah, it's so tight.
Yeah.
It's so much fun.
Totally. And you can get weird, you know? I know you like to go out of bounds and, like, you know, just be like, fuck it, let's see what happens.
Yeah. I truly, that's kind of the old me a little bit. But in terms of DJing, I need to get back to that. I was talking about this with Heavy. Like, I feel like when I was doing crazy shit, all the send nude shit, all the like super party boy shit, I didn't really care about what I was playing. So I would take risks and play weird shit.
Yeah.
And like, I didn't realize that did something for me in terms of people hearing it, and also my fulfillment of like going outside of the box.
Right.
And now that I'm like a little bit more mature, I'm not like going crazy partying, I'm sort of more focused on the music.
Yeah.
It scares me more
to take a risk.
Yeah. Which is weird. And I was talking with Heavy. I'm like, I need to get back to just fucking take a risk, throw on something crazy.
Right. But also for you, I think it's also like the venue, like you had a home at like Bottle Blonde.
Yeah.
Nothing you did there would affect you.
That's true.
You knew they weren't getting rid of you.
Mm-hmm.
You could throw on Crucial Conflict and Do or Die randomly, and I would be the only one that loved it or whatever.
Yeah,
like you'd play some Do or Die track, and I'd be like, dude.
Do you? Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a fucking, the
that's
greatest
like
song
a
ever.
song that I feel like most people don't get, but you would throw it on, and I would be like, I loved it. But like, try doing that anywhere else, you know, they'd be like, what are you doing, dude?
Yeah.
You'd be like, oh, Bottle Blonde, it worked. Like, it was, but so you also had a home that understood that if it did get weird or it did get out of bounds, they wouldn't hold it against you because they know you know what you're doing.
That's true. I didn't think about that.
They trusted you,
Yeah,
you know, and that's a lot of it is like your first night at John Boy, you weren't going to take risks. But as they see you and as they understand this guy's good, you can take all the risks you want once you win them over.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So I think that's a huge part of it.
Yeah. That's a nice perspective. I like that.
So
I need a good residency again.
Are there any?
It's tough.
It's just guest
fucking
spots.
Tough now. It's a lot of guest spots, which is crazy. Even like Arturo was on the pod talking about how important it is to have a resident DJ. Mm-hmm. He doesn't even have one at Celeste.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, it's so important, but we're not doing it. Yeah.
No. He's got like the different floors, their nights. Certain DJs have their nights.
Yeah.
But like there is no I need like a nice home. Bottled was such a good home.
Yeah,
and you're right. They trusted me enough to do whatever I wanted. And that is when you get the purest form of somebody and really the best of them.
For sure. Yeah, you throw in a weird Usher track too. You'd always like throw in like Let It Burn or something.
All the time.
But it was
still
great.
Do that.
Yeah. Yeah, but I just mean like you knew you could do it. You wanted to do it. And you're like, this is my place. Like, what are you going to say? You know?
Yeah.
So it was cool. I liked it. And I because I also knew that you were like, I'm like, this is his house. Like, this is what he does here. Like,
that's tight. I think that also plays into how important a resident DJ is. Somebody that is going to take the risks because you want them to know the sound of the room and be able to provide that for you, but also don't get so repetitive and play the same exact thing. So every single week, try something else.
Right.
That's where you get that from. Right.
Mm-hmm. And they, you know, once you win them over, you know, there's, like I said, you can do no wrong. So, but
it makes sense.
Times have changed.
I like that. There's so much we got to bring back. There's so much. There needs to be a turning of the tides. And I feel like the West Loop is that a little bit. John Boy is that a little bit. Focused on fun. You don't have little people stapling each other to the walls,
Right,
but you have
yeah, we don't wanna
Ramsey
do that.
throwing pizzas out and stuff. It's
They do like
it's
Happy
the
Meals
same-
or something.
Yeah, the same, fun, gimmicky thing.
Yeah, even the cryo guns or whatever. What is that called?
The
CO2 guns or whatever?
CO2, yeah.
Yeah, I mean it's sick. Yeah, it's a fun spot. I send people there all the time. I'm like, I don't know if you'll get in, but go check it out. Like,
Yeah.
but yeah, no, I miss a lot of that. But I still, I'm still doing things here and there. That event that I did at the Hard Rock, that was like a banger set. It was like cool, but
Yeah, how
that
was
felt
that?
like the old days.
Was it you, like, what was the set time? What's the vibe in there? It's a casino, right?
Yeah, but it was James Kennedy from Vanderpump.
Mm-hmm.
So it was just like, everyone was there to just more or less see him. I don't think they necessarily were there to see his skills. They just wanted to, see his.
They want to see him shirtless.
Yeah, he's a personality on the show, and like kind of like Pauly D.
He's a good time in the booth. I've seen him at Tao.
Yeah.
He's a good time. He's
Yeah.
playing fun stuff. He's pouring tequila all over
Right.
everybody, on himself.
Yeah,
He's
so-
shirtless. He's
He went to,
living it up.
he's going to Rockford, Illinois. They're all like, damn, let's go check it out. So I got hit up from them to open. But I also knew that he was going to do like a festival style set.
Mm-hmm.
So I was like, well, I'm going to do everything else. This is Rockford, Illinois. So I kind of just went crazy for an hour and a half doing just everything that I knew he wouldn't touch, and just kind of quick mixed and, talk to the crowd. All you had to say was James Kennedy, and they're like,
Yeah,
and
crazy.
I would make jokes. Like, I know Rockford enough to drop in some jokes about the neighborhoods or local bars, or I'd just be in the middle of a song and be like, all right, so what's going on in Rockford nowadays? And like my track's just going.
Yeah.
But I was an opener, so I didn't give a shit.
Yeah,
Like, I was
yeah,
like, this
yeah.
is fun, So it was more or less like me just kind of opening, playing good hits, but also like just engaging with the crowd and prepping them for his, festival set. So, and sure enough, I mean, he came out with, I didn't even know the first 6 or 7 transitions or whatever. It's like, I don't know any of this. They didn't either, but they were like, it's James Kennedy. We don't care.
It's just all high
Pictures.
energy. Yeah.
Yeah, just like, yeah. And he was jumping up and down, probably doing backflips, but
Ripping it.
yep.
Did you gamble at all? Are you a gambler?
No, that was Black Wednesday, so I had to go to Bourbon Street on the south side.
Oh,
So
shit.
I opened at Hard Rock, and then I closed at Bourbon Street. It was quite the day, just the drive alone.
Yeah, what is that? Like 2 hours?
An hour and a half, like flying. So I think I set cruise control like 80 just because I felt like it was fast, but not too fast.
Yeah, you're not going to get in trouble, but you'll get there quick.
Yeah, and then my friend was at Bourbon Street ahead of me, so I was like, hey, hang in there. Like, on my way, 40 minutes, 30 minutes.
Yeah, I've actually never been there. I've seen Steve Smooth's been DJing
Yeah,
there
so
forever.
he was there right before me.
Nice.
He went from the Hawks game to there, held down the fort till I got there, and then he's like, I'm done. Because he had a hell of a day too.
Yeah.
We both had like two events, so.
Yeah, I've never been there, but I just, weirdly enough, last night watched Even Steve's little vlog about when he played there recently.
Uh-huh.
And it looks fucking insane.
It
it's
is.
like a Costco that they turned into a nightclub.
It's multiple rooms.
Yeah.
They're they have an outdoor patio, which is huge. They have a full band room. Like I did an event there with like a bunch of like really awesome bands. Then they have another band room. Then they have a DJ nightclub room. So they have 4 things going on every night. So like they'll put like an MMA fight on in one room. They'll have 16 candles in another room. The DJs are going in another room. And then once the bands end, they all spill out into the club. And it's just chaos.
Yeah, it's madness.
Our set there is like, I think it's like 12 to 3. Basically band ends and it's like nuts. So yeah, they've got a good thing going on there. It's actually Marionette Park, but just south side Chicago. So, but yeah, it's fun. I'm there once a month, it's fun.
Sick. They've
Good
been
to
around
change
for
it
a
up.
minute, right?
Forever. Yeah. Since I was like illegal. Like I think I was going there with fake IDs like
No way.
forever ago.
Holy shit.
Yeah. But
That's awesome.
so that's a fun spot. But so that was the Black Wednesday night. I opened for the Kennedy dude and then closed Bourbon, and it was just like why do I do this to myself?
Yeah, you're driving home in silence for sure.
Oh, yeah. And not only driving from Rockford to Bourbon Street in total silence for an hour and a half, and then the ride home after. And I was like, a month ago, it sounded like a good idea.
Yeah.
And then that day, I was like, ugh.
You ever have to pump yourself up in the car a little bit with some tunes?
Not really.
No?
No. Not unless I'm like going to the gym or after the gym. But I find myself driving in silence more than people should know.
Yeah.
But I don't know. Maybe it's just because I just need that break.
Yeah, no, for sure. Silence is big. My ears are just ringing. Do you have tinnitus? I have bad tinnitus.
No.
You don't just have a constant ringing in your ears?
I've always been really, really particular about keeping my monitors low.
Good for you.
If there's like a couple things I've done right in this life, it's in the nightlife industry is staying away from like the extracurriculars and keeping my monitor low.
I mean, you beat the whole game. Those are the two hardest things
not yet
to stay away from.
Yeah, but keeping like I knew that, and I think I like in my early days I would hear DJs with like crazy loud monitors, and I was like, if I'm gonna fucking do this for a long time, I'm gonna have to like tone that part down. Because I like what's your favorite ear to have your monitor on? Because we all have like a favorite side, right? Like I like hearing the left side.
I don't know that I've ever really thought about which side is better.
If someone says, what side do you want your monitor on?
If someone's asking me about monitors, I'm going to ask for two.
Okay,
but
so that's not an option.
If they ask which side I wanted it on, I would just say left. I think I've always done left. That comes to mind.
Yeah.
Left?
Yeah. So I have always just kept it low, and thank God for Serato. It helps. It's like you don't need it as loud as you did when you were just mixing vinyl or CDs. And,
yeah.
So, no, I've heard, I think Steve Smooth, he has a little bit of that. He's like, huh?
Some tinnitus.
Huh?
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
Really? Are you fucking with me right now?
Yeah.
But
my girlfriend hates it.
Yeah.
I'm always like, I'm fucking deaf. Like, I'm sorry.
Yeah, it's part of the game for sure.
Yeah, I do remember doing a beauty bar for Timbuk Tuesday one time, like memorable milestone night of my life. It was my 21st birthday on the day of, and the opener Izzo called me and asked me if I could fill in for him for Timbuk Tuesday.
Nice.
And I did it, and it was amazing. It was awesome. And then Tim got there, and like immediately when he got in the booth, just fucking crank the monitor to 100% max. Like my ears were bleeding.
Yeah.
I was like, oh fuck. Like I don't ever want to be that guy.
Yeah. That's
crazy.
Yeah, I think someone, an opener or somebody along the way taught me that I don't want this to be a part of my 4 or 5 nights a week.
Yeah.
So I was like, not only do I have to get good, but I got to get good in silence because I'm not
You're
trying
like
to go
ninja.
deaf. Yeah. So yeah. Thank God I haven't had any hearing problems yet.
Nice.
So,
what?
Exactly. Yeah.
You hear those sirens.
Speaking of,
it's either ringing in my ears or it's sirens from the street is all I hear really over here.
Yeah, I hear sirens, so let's hope it's actual just ambulance.
This was awesome. I'm glad you came. Thank you. I don't want to hold you up for too long. I feel like I know you as way better now. I never really knew anything about your past. I just knew that you were a good guy and I liked you, which is all I need to know.
Right.
Yeah. And this was cool. This was really cool. I loved hearing your come up. I loved hearing all the things you did. I think that it's very inspirational for anyone listening, any young DJ, new DJ, looking for things to do, looking for angles to come at it from, things to try, branding, making CDs, mixes, whatever, going to Greece and throwing them at tourists.
And that was another part is I was my own marketing guy. I mean, I came up with logos for myself. I gave you a hat, like just stuff like that. I've always just dove in because it's cheaper to do it yourself. So it was like, well, how do you get a logo? Well, I'm going to figure it out. It was always cheaper to find your own way.
Yeah.
Or find your own printing guy or, so I always just I was like, I'm going to just get good at this because it's kind of like if you know how to fix cars. Like you have car trouble, you just go out there with your fucking wrench and figure it out.
Mm-hmm.
that was how I approached DJing. Like, I'm going to be my own marketing, my own branding, and I'm going to save a lot of money along the way by getting good, or just getting frustrated. So
yeah,
but
tight. Is there anything else you want to touch on? Should we continue the saga? I feel like we got a very strong timeline from the beginning.
If you wanted to hit Blackhawks stuff, like, that's kind of cool.
Yeah. What's up with the Blackhawks?
So I'm on my 7th year with the Hawks.
Nice.
It's awesome. So much fun. It started in 2018, which doesn't seem that long ago.
I know. 2018, you feel like, oh, that was like 2 years ago.
Yeah.
It's fucking like 8 years ago almost.
So 2018, I got a call.
7. Sorry.
Yeah. From the Blackhawks. They wanted to do a Friday night DJ promotion. They're like, hey, we want to try out, doing DJs on, the way the NBA does it. Which I guess for a lot of people, the NBA grabbed DJs forever ago. I mean, it was probably 15 years ago. But you got to remember, they can be on the floor. With hockey, there's not a lot of real estate down there for, a DJ or anything else. So they hit me up. They said, we'd like to try the DJ thing. We've seen other cities test in the waters. Can you do a Friday for us? We've got a date in mind in November against the LA Kings, which we think would be a good kind of like trial. So I went on a Friday night, no script. I didn't know what was going on. They had a general idea of how they wanted to use me, but it was also like, let's just figure this out together. So, I had a headset in, and it was just like letting me know kind of when to go. So that was the start of live DJs at the United Center as far as the Blackhawks go. The Bulls, I think they were already 10 years in on it.
So where'd they put you?
312. So we're in the upper corner looking down at the ice.
Okay.
So it's behind one of the bars in the corner. There's like a huge platform at the United Center. So they put me up there. That was where we demoed it. I think 312 for the area code. It just kind of made sense to have the DJs up there. So we did one night, and I thought it was awesome. And I was like, if I never do this again, checkbox.
Yeah,
like,
for
it was
sure.
just fun.
That's tight.
And then they called and were like, we talked to the owners and all the higher ups, and they want to do this for every game now. So then I was like, this is awesome, but that's a lot, like I just, you do it one time and but I was so pumped, and I was like, all right, well then where do we go from here? And so it's just kind of evolved. We've added DJs, and I'm on year 7 now. So it's pretty fun. You can't go wrong with hockey. I mean, live hockey is it's different.
It's a good time.
Yeah.
It's exhilarating. I never went to many sports games as a child. I'm not a sports guy at all. I don't watch them.
I didn't know that.
I don't really know anything about sports. But my grandfather was a big Hawks fan. Definitely went to the most hockey games of anything else ever.
Awesome.
I don't think I've ever been to an NFL game live.
Really?
Yeah.
You've never been to a Bears game?
Nope.
Have you been to a Blackhawks game?
I've been to the Hawks when I was
like as a
young,
kid,
but not
yeah.
recently.
Oh, okay. We'll get that. We'll get that in motion.
I'm down.
You got to come back.
I would love that.
Hell
I would
yeah.
love to take Aaron and have a nice little date night at the United Center. That'd be sick.
Yeah, it's cool. And the funny thing is I'm obsessed with sports. I've been in sports my whole life. I played everything my whole life except hockey. So it was kind of cool to transition into hockey because I wasn't so passionate about winning or losing, but I just wanted to present myself and do the right thing for the arena. I knew what to play or what I gathered. But it was a sport that I wasn't like super familiar with. I was like, oh, I've been cheering on the Blackhawks my whole life, but I don't completely get it because I'm not like an ice skater or, we didn't have that in my town.
Yeah, like you didn't know what icing was. Nobody knows what icing is if they don't know hockey.
Like, hockey, but you don't. Like, there's so many different rules. So it was weird because I felt like I knew every sport, and then hockey came along, and I'm like, yeah, I know hockey. Like, I've been cheering for the Hawks my whole life. And then, they bring a couple terms up, and I'm like, all right, so I need to start reading.
Yeah.
But I was, into baseball, basketball, football my whole life. So, but it was cool once the Hawks thing came about. It was kind of like, all right, well, it's another sport to learn, and I fell in love with it from a different perspective. So
Do you play Chelsea Dagger when they score, or is that like an automated
It's different.
thing?
So we have, I mean, there's so many of us. There's so many things going on at once. But the main guy that pushes the horn button, his name is Michael Horn.
No.
Yes. So that's insane.
Come
right?
on.
So he's a friend of mine from back in the day. He goes back to the Mixmaster Throwdown days. So Mike, he runs everything as far as like game presentation, from Tommy Hawk skits to the all the signage as far as the Jumbotron.
He's up in the control room.
He runs the show. You know, it's game presentation. It's outside of them competing. What are we going to do to make this place amazing? So Mike's awesome at his role. He's such a talent, one of the most talented people I know. He does voiceovers, he does edits, music, video, you name it, anything game presentation. This guy is just a wizard. So anyway, Mike does the horn, which is crazy, I know. I think a lot of people have brought it up, but so Mike does the horn, and then we have click effects for Chelsea Dagger to get fired off. So then that gets played. It's just the standard track or whatever. So, and then the DJ is used in different ways. Like we all have different spots. And then there's the organ. So there's like 4 different musical things happening at once. But
is the headset just constant chaos and you're just waiting on your call?
Initially, when you like your first game, it's super overwhelming. But then once you realize there's a lot going on, but you don't have to super pay attention to everything.
Yeah.
And when it's not like he's going to just sneak attack me with something. Once you get the game flow down, once you know what you're being utilized for, because every game is a little different, it gets so much easier. But the first day in the headset is like, holy shit. And we're on a delay as far as music goes. It's probably a half a second delay, which is incredibly long.
Mm-hmm.
So we have 2 monitors up there, which helps. But yeah, so I'm dealing with my own stuff, and then I'm listening to, so many other people in the headset. So.
I could only imagine, like when I first started doing game sound at bars and shit, like Stout really was the first one. And like Biz is super militant about everything.
Yeah.
And you don't want to piss him off. And like when I first was doing that, bro, I'm like watching the TV
just to get that fade just right,
waiting for my moment.
Yeah.
Like, oh, is the commercial coming? And then like once you get comfortable and you could start just doing it by ear,
right?
Certain sounds, like, okay, it's about to cut to commercial, right? I'm like eating a chicken sandwich and texting and then just like switching over, it gets easier. But,
and then that one Ford commercial that just beats you by a second, you're like, that's not happening again. But that was my one. Like they just cut like a second too quick.
Yeah, and the volume change on a commercial is just fucking
Ford, and you're like, fuck. Yeah. You're like, all right, I'm good. We're not going to do that again. So, yeah, game sound's the best. So yeah, it's chaos in the headset, but whatever. You get used
to it. You start understanding it.
Yeah, I have like an in-ear, and then I have my headphones over it, and then
in-ear DJ. Right.
Well, like I'll do like an in-ear for like what they're over our headset. It'll just be like a small, and then I'll put my headphones over it to, because sometimes I'm mixing and they're talking, and sometimes I'm fine listening to them while I'm mixing, and other times I'll just pull it out and be like, no. Like we have a 16-minute warm-up that we do, and for that 16-minute warm-up, I just take everything off and just do that.
Because you're going for 16 minutes.
16 straight.
Okay.
That's the warm up. So I know in that 16-minute window, the only thing I'm going to hear in the headset is like people making jokes or like, or working on other projects. But yeah, so it's fun. It's a lot in the beginning, but once you get the hang of it, it's just like another day at work. So
that's awesome. What's the next game you're doing? Do you know?
This Thursday. Yeah, I'll be there Thursday.
This Thursday. Sick, bro. You're crushing it. Definitely inspirational. I love all the stuff outside of the nightclubs that you can do, because for me, I don't know about anyone else, but when I was younger and hungry and trying to fucking take over the world DJing, it felt like anything outside of a nightclub was like, oh no, fuck that. I'm a nightclub guy.
I get it.
That stuff's lame. And then you grow up and I'm like, that's actually the best and coolest stuff.
Oh, especially a guy like you'd eat it up. I mean, because you like to get fun about it. And, And I mean, the weddings that I get, I'm so lucky. I get the best weddings. Like, I don't get the cheesy stuff. I get like cool people that want cool shit. Like, people are like, so how does your weddings go? I'm like, they're amazing.
Yeah.
I always get the best bride and grooms, and they get what I'm doing. I get what they're doing. And it's almost like they give you a bunch of weird stuff, and you just got to puzzle piece that in with the good stuff that you know goes well. And it's fun when they cancel out artists for you too. Like, they'll be like, absolutely no Pitbull. And I'm like, hell yeah. And they're like, is that okay with you? I'm like, yeah. Like, you're challenging me.
Yeah.
No Flo Rida, no Pitbull. Some people have crazy, like, no playlists. And like, they're for the weirdest reasons. Like, she's like, absolutely, like, no Bruno Mars. And I was like, that's fine, but why? Like, what do you have against him? And she's just like, I just fucking hate him. And I'm like, cool. I go, I don't need that. So as they eliminate stuff, it makes it fun for me too.
Yeah.
But then they'll be like, yeah, but make sure you play a lot of Katy Perry. And I'm like, wait, what? Like, it's kind of the same, you know?
Yeah.
But people have certain things. No one wants to hear Pharrell Happy. And I said, well, I don't even have that song. Like, it's not something I would ever use.
Damn, I haven't played that in a minute.
Don't. like it's
that was kind of the jam. That's like one of those fucking,
I think it's the number one do not play on my list.
Really?
For every event.
I forgot about that song.
Happy
People
is-
just hate it.
They hate it.
They just hate it.
And it's called Happy. So that's where we're at. That's where we're at in this world. And I get it. Now, on the flip side of that, what do you think my most played wedding song is?
What do I think your most played wedding song
At
is?
cool weddings.
At cool weddings, I would have to say Dreams and Nightmares.
I mean, that's always a good circle song. No, I'm not kidding. That goes really well with some of the weddings that I do. And I mean, you know, it'll be like 10 dudes in a circle just going crazy. Yeah, so it's in there.
Really?
Yeah, you weren't far off.
No way.
But Waka Flocka No Hands is by far my most played wedding song.
I should have said that. I could see that.
Yeah,
because
because it's just, you can't miss.
That is absolutely just a banger.
It is.
It never stopped being a banger.
No.
From
never.
the moment it came out until right now.
Right. And Cascada, Every Time We Touch, is like the girls' side of that.
Yeah.
So. But the girls love like the grimy, dirty hip hop too. So, but yeah, I end most of my weddings with like just grimy hip hop.
That's awesome.
Yeah, but you know, we're in a new world, so they allow us to do a little bit more than, you know, the traditional stuff from back in the day.
It is. Yeah.
And like I said, I get the best bride and grooms because they found me for a reason. I feel like they're like, oh, you do club stuff, you do this, like we want that. Like, they don't want a push play guy that's gonna just play out full songs.
Yeah.
And if they want that, I've passed on it. Like, you don't need me. Like, you want to hear fucking Sweet Caroline and that whole stuff, go to, you know, cooldjs.com and you'll get a guy for half price.
Yeah.
Like, all good.
Go to TaskRabbit.
Yeah, or I don't know where people even, like, there's a lot of gimmicky companies, but there's a place for them. You know, not everyone needs DJ strategy at their wedding.
Well, listen, if you need DJ strategy at your wedding, I'm taking 2025 bookings.
I've booked Metro for some weddings that I was like, I stood up in.
Nice.
I'm like, hey, I need you for a wedding. He's like, fuck, I don't do weddings. I'm like, no, I just do the dance floor. Just do 3 hours of going off. That's it.
Yeah.
I'll handle the rest. Or I'll hire somebody to do the rest.
Yeah, that's tight.
So I've got him at a couple weddings.
He probably just came through and killed it.
Yeah. And Andy's like keeps going. I'm like, you don't have to keep going. He's like, I fucking love it. He's like, my next booking's not for 2 hours. I'll just keep running, you know.
Yeah. He's just in the Metro stance, one leg in front of the other,
Hell
ready
yeah.
to attack the turntables.
Hell yeah.
That's my favorite.
Oh,
bro.
yeah.
When I see him get ready to go.
Yeah.
Last time I was playing at Tower, I was opening for him, and he comes in and he's like, I didn't know this was happening. My girlfriend told me after the fact, but
Yeah.
he was back there like she said he was getting ready. He's doing stretches, he's doing squats, he's fucking yelling,
Love
he's
it.
hyping himself up. I'm like, damn, I got to do that.
Yeah, he was. I used to use him for high schools too, but he definitely had to hype himself up because high school kids are mean.
Yeah.
So mean. And he's like, I'm like, hey, can you do, you know, Bolingbrook High School for me again this year? He's like, man, I get so stressed. Like, these kids are so mean. They're not mean. They're in that world of next song, boo.
Yeah.
Like, and like, he doesn't, like, no one wants that. I'm like, dude, just block them out. Just totally block it out and just, whatever. So, but yeah, he's done some really funny events for me. And I know he has to, like, he's like, oh. It's one of those. He says yes to me, and then it comes to the date, and he's like, dude, these kids.
Yeah.
So.
Damn, shouts to Metro. We got to get him back in here. I've been trying. He's dodging me.
He said also at Gold Coast that he's ready to come on.
All right.
His mind, he said.
All right. Well, I'm going to hit him up after this.
Let's do it.
Yeah, that's incredible, bro. Thank you very much for spending time with me, taking time out of your busy schedule.
Hey, thanks for caring.
Helping me out when I was a young lad in the game and seeing some potential. I remember you gave me music, put me at Bar Sienna.
Well, the biggest thing I think was we had you at Bull and Bear like every Sunday we could get you. That was before your Bottle Blonde thing.
Yeah, Bull and Bear was awesome.
I was like, I need you in rotation at least once a month because I think we had like a 4 DJ rotation. Every once in a while we'd have somebody new come in or whatever, but it was typically like me, you, and then 2 others in that like regular
Seeley.
Sunday. What's that?
Seeley was in there.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Trying to think who else we had. We had like Navik and
Gordo,
yeah,
for sure. Navik,
yeah. We'd cycle through like that crew, and then, but it was always like, I'm like, strategy needs to be here at least once a month. So
hell yeah, thank you
for sure.
Appreciate it. Anything you want to plug?
I don't think so.
All right,
not really.
He's got too much money. You don't even have available dates. You're too rich. You're doing too well.
No. I always have available dates. Just a matter of making the logistics work. So
yeah. Thank you guys for watching. If you're on YouTube, like the video, drop a comment, subscribe to the channel. Algorithm activating activity. That's what we like to see around here. Thank you for joining us. Diamond Cut, thank you for doing an extraordinary job, and we'll see you next time. Peace.
Well, alright. Battle raps cause I've shaken grown men to the point that they can't even face their own friends. That's why they rhyme about jewels, not life, cause the ice on which they skating is so thin. That's what I love about the human soul. It'll usually show when the truth ain't told. Use a lie.